In studio this morning, we have a giant and a genius in the business of open and distance learning in the person of Professor Brenda Gourley. Welcome, Professor.
Nice to be here.
I'll start by asking you, when you were announced yesterday as one of the honorary fellows, what actually came to your mind?
That it's quite awkward taking credit for something when you can't ever do anything on your own. So I was thinking of all the people that had made these things possible, and they weren't in the room, only I was. That was what I was thinking.
It actually was quite an inspiration for us seated in the audience, looking at such a track of record or proven track of what you have been able to do in enhancing open and distance learning. Next year, we have the Commonwealth getting onto its 60th birthday. What do you think should be done in the coming years in terms of open and distance learning?
Well, the Commonwealth of Learning has set as one of its priorities Africa. And certainly, if we're going to achieve education for all, it's not going to be through traditional structures. It's going to be by using non-traditional structures, and more particularly open and distance learning, and the technology that has been improved in such amazing ways in the last decade or so. So the combination of leveraging up the use of technology and leveraging up open and distance learning, I think, must be priorities if we're going to reach our Millennium Development Goals.
Absolutely, but there has been a change in the way open distance learning has been done, in the sense that we have your president, vice chancellor of the Open University here in the UK. We have other universities offering similar facilities. So what's the challenge in all of this?
Well, I think that we've got most of higher education being delivered by traditional kinds of universities. It's now possible for them to offer e-learning programs by virtue of the fact that the technology has made that possible. And so what we're seeing in education generally, higher education, is the kind of coming together of the distance learning, so to speak, stream and the traditional stream. And I think that's terrific, actually, because the more universities are trying to reach more people, the more likely we are to succeed in our ultimate goal. So it's a challenge because it's a huge change in operational factors, but it's also hopeful.
Well, how does this all play into the African scenario, so to speak?
Well, Africa, as you will know and as I will know, has a huge way to go in higher education. I mean, only about 2 to 3% of African people are in higher education, as opposed to nearly 50% in the UK, for example. So the possibility of building bricks and mortar schools, universities, etc., is just it's not going to happen. Even if you could build them, you couldn't staff them. So distance education, open and distance learning, and the technology is actually Africa's hope. There was a time when I used to despair, when technology meant you had to lay electricity lines over large distances, and you know what large distances we have in Africa. I used to think, we're never going to catch up, we're just never going to catch up. But then along came satellites and Wi-Fi and what have you, so we don't have to worry about those things, and we can leapfrog over the intermediate technologies and go right to where we are now, and that's just wonderful. It fills me with hope.
So there's the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's a big light. It's not a train, it's a light.
It's a light. Finally, you will be presenting the Asa Briggs lecture on new technologies, new possibilities for reaching the unreached. Many people assume that the widening of the digital divide basically means that technology will enrich better than broadening access to education. Are there reasons for more optimistic outlook?
Well, I think so. The main theme of my lecture today is going to be on harnessing all these individuals who are contributing to the net. You know, there are all sorts of people who are putting material on the net, they're talking to each other, they're collaborating with each other, Everybody's a publisher now, everybody's a filmmaker, we've got Flickr and YouTube and what have you. So we've got this terrific creativity, but we've also got millions of people who are actually giving their time and their talents and their expertise for nothing, a sort of gift culture. And I think what we need to do is harness that gift culture. It's a terrific volunteering effort. Now let's harness that volunteering effort to education. And we've got millions of students worldwide, university students. They can be catalysts for that. They've received university education. They are receiving a university education, which is a great privilege. And we should expect of them that they volunteer their time and help in the education of others. So I think the web is pointing us towards how people like connecting, how they like collaborating, how they like teaching each other. And if you harness that with the technology-enabled devices that we have, I think you've got a huge force for change. And that's what I'm going to be proposing in my lecture.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Professor Brenda Gourley. When she speaks, we listen. Thank you very much for having us, ma'am.
I'm not sure that's true.